Let's get it going. Let me get my make sure I get everything going here right. So, good evening, folks. We're going to be asking the question, as you can see on the monitor behind me. We're asking a simple question: do you believe Mike Pence is owed an apology by President Trump? And now, I know a lot of you folks are not watching the January 6th hearings. That is fine. But at the end of the day, just because you're not watching this stuff does not mean it is not going on. And one of the things that is coming out is it's looking like Trump's own advisors did tell Trump that what he was asking Mike Pence to do was indeed illegal. So I guess the question we want to ask is, does any of this matter? And I see Sister Chris, you said I'm watching. Good evening to you, by the way, as well. For all you guys, One Big Chicken. I love the name. So you are believing that Trump does owe Mike Pence an apology. I don't get that on these broadcasts very often. My audience, as I make it clear, is primarily MAGA. So to hear someone say that, yeah, Trump does need to apologize to Mike Pence, that's a bit unusual from what I normally hear. But good evening to you folks. I am going to run a clip. I want you guys, this is only 1 minute and 46 seconds. This is from President Trump himself. And I just want to get you guys, and the box will be open. The box will be open right after this. I want you guys to listen to this minute and 40 seconds clip.
Heard me calling Mike Pence a wimp. Now, honestly, I'm the president of the United States. I'm sitting, I think they said at my desk, he's a wimp. How many people listen to me? It's like, I don't even know who these people are. But I never called Mike Pence a wimp. I never called him a wimp. Mike Pence had a chance to be great. He had a chance to be, frankly, historic. But just like Bill Barr and the rest of these weak people, Mike, and I say it sadly because I like him, but Mike did not have the courage to act. Bill Barr was afraid of certain things, and you know what they were? Please don't impeach me. Don't impeach me, Bill Barr. Please. I said, what's wrong with being impeached? I got impeached twice, and my poll numbers went up.
Trump
I don't
never
want to be impeached, sir. I don't want to be impeached. The election was perfect, sir. It was perfect. It was so good. The election was perfect. And the Democrats are sitting back saying, no way we're going to impeach this guy. Nah, it's terrible. But Mike was afraid of whatever he was afraid of. But as you heard a year and a half ago, Mike Pence had absolutely no choice but to be a human conveyor belt. He was a human conveyor belt, even if the votes were fraudulent. They said he had to send the votes, couldn't do anything. I said, well, what happens when you have more votes than you had voters? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
Okay, now that was a quick clip I wanted to run. Let me stop everything else from kicking in. But that just happened. Coming from the January 6th hearings. And by the way, folks, there's plenty of us in here. Tap your screens, get my likes up to 5,000. Sends me more of my preferred audience, MAGA. Now that it's starting to come out from the January 6th hearings, and I get that my audience do not watch these hearings. I understand that. You believe the hearings are bullshit. You're not watching them. I just want to make it clear to you. Just because you're not watching these hearings do not mean they are not taking place. It is looking as though President Trump was advised by his own advisors that what he was asking Mike Pence to do was illegal. So it was not just a matter of him asking Pence to not certify the election. He was not just getting pushback from Pence. He was getting pushback from his own advisors telling him, you're asking this man to do something that is not legal. You're trying to get him to commit a crime. So I'm asking you guys now that you've had this evidence, regardless if you're watching the January 6th hearings or not, do you believe Trump owes Mike Pence an apology? The box is open right away, and that's where we're going to go. We're going to get opinionated. With a name like Opinionated, we know what to expect. Your channel. Good evening, man. Right. Okay, hang on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. What do you
Yeah.
think? Do you believe Pence is owed an
Okay.
apology?
There's a bit of a delay. I do and I don't. I'm like on the fence about it.
Elaborate.
I think that
Elaborate.
Pence could have said something. I think Pence could have said something about how he felt that it was either suspicious, or I don't know if anybody has watched the 2000 Mules, but that
I've
has a
watched
lot of
2,000
stuff in
Mules.
it.
Yeah, I've
And it
watched
taught
2,000
it,
Mules a half a dozen times. I've watched it a half a dozen times.
yeah, it's good. It's good. It's definitely has a lot of information in it. And um but do I think that Trump should apologize for calling him weak? Yeah, I do.
Okay. What?
I do.
Okay.
Because
What?
one, I don't think people should.
Okay. Is there any?
I believe
I'm
that
gonna take you.
nobody
I'm gonna
should
take.
insult
Hang on.
anyone.
I'm gonna drop you and bring you back on. Send the request right back in. We obviously have a lengthy delay and it makes communications difficult. So I will take you right back on. I'm gonna drop you and
Okay,
then go ahead
I'll
and
be right
send the
back.
request back. Okay, I don't know what was going on there. I'm gonna take her right back to let her complete it. For reals, I do see you, but I'm going to try to continue with Meg. We had a serious delay there. Let's see if this is going to be corrected. Okay, Meg, can you hear me?
Oh, is it working? Because it's
Okay, I
like
can
all of a
hear
sudden
you.
got
I'm just trying to see
glitchy.
I'm trying to see if the delay is there.
My internet. A little bit. It's definitely not as bad as it was.
Okay,
I don't know if
so
it's my
so the
internet or not. Are
yeah the notion that Pence was advised that he could not do what Trump asked and that it was illegal. Does this take Pence off the hook from folks suggesting he is a traitor?
Yeah, I don't think that he's a traitor.
Okay. All right. What? So, and you do? You're
I
suggesting
know
that?
that he has. I'm sorry, the delay is so bad.
Yeah.
I think it's my internet. Um,
Okay. Yeah. I'm
I
gonna have to move
apologize.
on. Unfortunately, unfortunately, I gotta move it on. Our delay is such a gap there that I can't communicate with her. I don't know. Let me try another one, and maybe I could go back to her. By the way, folks, the box is open. I do apologize. I don't know if it was her internet. Hopefully, it is cleared with the next caller. I can't even get it out. But now that we know Trump was advised, not only was Trump advised that the election was not held the way he thought, he also apparently was advised that what he was asking Pence to do was a crime. So the more information that comes out, it looks like Trump was well aware of the actual truth and kept pursuing a different narrative. Does any of this make a difference to any of my folks that lean right? My beloved audience, does any of this make any difference to you, MAGA folks? I know you're not watching the hearings. I know you don't believe half of the shit that's coming out. But hearing this stuff coming from members of his own administration, people that he handpicked, selected, and appointed, does any of that mean anything? All right, looks like Atbox said Trump supporters live in an alternative reality. They can't handle the truth. Well, I will say this, regardless of what the truth is, Liz Cheney is putting on a hell of a case. This isn't Nancy Pelosi. This is Liz Cheney, folks. Liz Cheney is the one that's really running the show here. So for all you guys who think this is a liberal hit job, this stuff is coming predominantly from Liz Cheney. What would have the left done in that situation? Bottom for Trump, I don't know. That's a good question. What would the left have done? How far along in the situation are we suggesting? Are we suggesting that, say, President Obama or President Biden is saying that the election was taken from them, and they're presenting about as much evidence as Trump is? I don't know. That would be an interesting. I mean, and let me be clear. I can see. I call strikes the same no matter who is at bat. I am willing to admit there would be liberals that would buy into that. an African American, the first black president of the United States, saying the election was stolen from him, it would cause a rift, particularly in the African American community. But I would just hope, and I'm only going to say hope as a speculation because I do not know. I would hope that we would have more cooler heads prevailing among the liberals than what is among the MAGA supporters. I would at least hope that folks would be willing to listen to the evidence that would be coming out against Barack Obama or any liberal that would make this claim. And that's where the problem lies in regards to what's actually taking place, is that the defenders of Trump, the conservatives, my MAGA folks, they don't even want to hear the counter evidence. They've had their mind made up since January 6th that this went one way, and they're not willing to change, or even they're not open-minded under the guise that maybe everything we heard is not 100% true. I don't get this because under most situations, my MAGA friends are highly susceptible of government, FBI, media, etc., etc. It takes a lot to get a genuine MAGA folk to trust someone. However, when we're looking at January 6th, the trust that they already know what took place on January 6th developed on January 6th, and their minds seem to be fairly closed as to any evidence that might come out. Their mind has been made up since that evening on January 6th that it was a tour of the Capitol building. Ashley Babbitt was, her life was wrongfully taken. It was a love fest. Nothing really bad happened. Perhaps it was Antifa or Black Lives Matter. All of this came out on January 6th, the evening of January 6th, the day of January 7th. And there's a lot of right-wingers that has stuck by that regardless of anything else that's come out. So I don't know where you can go when you have folks that have that rigid of a viewpoint. But at the same time, that's not all right-wingers. That's not even all MAGA. But there are plenty that are like that. Let me make it clear, folks. The box is open if you want to come in here. Let me know, do you believe Trump should apologize to Mike Pence? Like I keep saying, just because you are not watching or viewing or even reading up on the January 6th hearings do not mean they are not taking place. This stuff is progressing whether you're watching it or not. Information is coming out whether you're listening to it, you're willing to entertain it, or any of that nature. This is happening whether you are there or not. It's very similar to getting a subpoena in the mail and you believing that the judge, the courts, whoever is taking you to court is on bullshit. Just because you do not answer that subpoena, just because you do not show up in court, does not mean that court case will not proceed without you. And it may be to your detriment that you're ignoring what's taking place. Looking at the comments here, Trump hasn't apologized to the Central Park Five, and that's never going to happen. Fraud was obvious. Pence should not have certified the election. Danny loves America. I love the name. What can he do, though? You're saying Pence should not have certified the election because fraud was obvious. If everyone that Pence believes is telling him you cannot do what Trump is asking, folks are telling him this is illegal. In Chris Christie's book, Chris Christie, a longtime friend of Trump, also said that Mike Pence was trying to do what Trump asked and was told it was not legal. His advisors told him what Trump is asking you to do is not legal. What was he supposed to do? Essentially ignore everyone around him? And keep in mind, when Trump was asking him to not certify the election, this is before Mike Lindell's cyber symposium. This is before 2,000 Mules. This is strictly going on the information that Trump himself came up with, which is far less than what Mike Lindell or Dinesh D'Souza came up with. So you're suggesting that Mike Pence was supposed to not certify the election based on a little bit of evidence that Trump was producing? It was just not there yet. We can Monday morning quarterback and look at 2,000 Mules and say whatever, but that information was not out yet. Let's go to Vaz 37. And I see, let me look at the comments here. Trash. That is 62. Hang on a second, Vaz.
No.
That is a lot. Hold on one second, Vaz. 62 loose cases prove that they told a big lie. That came from Siobhan. So Siobhan is saying that Trump went to court over 60 times, lost. I think he lost every case but one. And that's the suggestion that it was like. What do you think, Vass? Do you think Mike Pence is owed an apology by President Trump?
Of course. Of course, shoot, he's let's see, Pence, the officer that had a heart attack that almost died, the one that did have a heart attack and died, the family of the girl that got shot, the guy that had to shoot the girl, he owes a lot of apologies.
Wow. Well, unfortunately, I'm pretty sure none of them will get there. If folks in the comments talking about 2,000 mules, I get it on every broadcast, and I'll be right back with you, Vass. But in regards to you guys that are bringing up 2,000 mules, we have to get past the hurdle that so many right-wingers do not hold any high regard to that film. You got Attorney General Jim Barr saying it. Yes, I believe Ann Coulter. I'm sure a lot of you remember Ann Coulter. She's also a well-known conservative pundit. She's also saying that the film was garbage. And of course, there are no right-wing politicians, no senators, no Congress people that are using 2,000 mules to justify that they were victimized. Why is that? Why is the right? Why is it not on Fox News? Why is Fox News not championing 2,000 mules as what you need to see that happen? You're just not hearing about that. That should tell you something. Take the liberals out of the picture. Look at how the right is treating 2,000 mules. Vass, did I lose you there? Okay, looks like I lost Vass. Let me bring Vass back on. So he's saying just because Fox News is an establishment, but they're not talking about 2,000 mules in any right-wing circles of any significance. Okay, Vass, back.
Yeah. What was we saying? Oh, that how he should apologize. Yeah, I got disconnected somehow. Yeah, he owes a lot of people apologies, man. And I just to the people that are ignoring a lot of let's say some of the stuff they talk about is true, right? Okay, let's say it's all the stuff's crazy, it's made up. But do they talk about like I said, the officer that had a heart attack, almost died, the woman her family, she got shot, people got killed. There's so much other stuff that went on to say, okay, politics have got to go to the side. You cannot just talk about this and vote and believe it based on your party. Like when you're talking about somebody else, like you have got to care about somebody. You've got to give a damn about somebody because you know that a woman got killed. You know that a man had a heart attack and died. You know that a man had a heart attack, an officer, and he lived. But that's a lot going on.
In regards to the woman that lost her life, Ashley Babbitt, most of my friends on the right in the MAGA crowd believe that Ashley Babbitt's death was unjustified.
How? When you're invading the Capitol,
I'm not giving you my judgment. I'm just giving you the information.
But how do you come up with? But how does a person come up with that when if it's the same thing as saying, man, dude was breaking in my house and I had to shoot him. Oh, you shot him? Well, you was wrong for shooting him. How? He's breaking into my house.
Well, let me give you what I've heard because I did a whole broadcast on it. They're coming up with 1, she was not armed. 2, she was a smaller woman. 3, the Capitol building is a public place and the public has a right to beat her. These are the things I heard. 4, there were other cops behind her and the cop who shot her should have been able to tell. I've heard all of these.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just telling you. I'm telling you what I heard.
But let's think about this. So, fear for your life. They could have did something else. Let's see. How many times have we been telling y'all this? With all the black people that get killed, you fear for your life. He was running away from you, but you had to shoot him in the back.
Yeah. What about the notion
that see, it's everybody. Everybody wants you to understand when it's them. So, but when we saying it, Nobody's understanding. Oh, you should comply. So you should comply. Tell her the same thing then. She should have just
That's
complied. When they said leave the Capitol, she should have complied and just left, and she never would have got shot. If you're gonna go with it was unjustified, because we've been saying these shootings that these officers are doing and saying that they fear for their lives, we've been saying that's unjustified. And you always was in the street and holding signs, Blue Lives Matter, the cops is right. That's what you kept saying. You understood until it was you. That's when you
well.
didn't understand.
I cannot argue with your comment of she should have complied, because that is a very common response to anyone suggesting that their life was taken, unjustifiably. She should have complied. I hear that a lot, and there's no denying she was not compliant. She just happened to be with hundreds of other people that were not compliant as well. So, but
Yeah.
I just brought it up because there's a lot of folks
Hey,
who believe
if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
I hear you on that. I heard that.
Plenty of mothers and fathers bit that bullet.
Yeah.
Black mothers and fathers that bit that bullet and said, hey, Brown down there in St. Louis, yeah, he's 16, 17, walked out with his hands up, but hey, he was doing something earlier at the store.
Okay, what about Don in the comments, friend of the program, suggested that it was an unjustifiable kill because she was quote unquote not a threat to the officer. What about that point?
Hey, the boy Brown down there in St. Louis came to the officer with his hands up. He wasn't a threat. Do you see? See, you keep doing it for whatever situation they take just from that one girl. I've got 5 dead young black men that was unarmed for every situation that they talk about. Fear for your life. South Carolina. The boy was running away from the officer and he shot him in his back.
Okay.
So there's always, for every scenario they come with, that's what we've been saying. But now you want us to understand. You want us to look at it and say, oh man, you're right. That was unjustified. But over here, that's their way. That's their way, is to make you understand them all the time. All the time.
There you go.
Never do they understand anything that you're going through.
All right, preach on, my man. All right, I got to move it on, though. I appreciate you coming through.
Yep.
Always a pleasure with Vance. Okay. And I would suggest that, and I see looks like Double Luck or some folks in the comments also suggested that there is some double standard there. And I can't deny that, folks. I'm willing to see both sides of the issue. And when it comes to Ashley Babbitt, whether I think she was justified or not, there's no denying there's a double standard there. Unarmed, not a threat, things like that. A lot of folks, as my last caller was saying, a lot of folks have lost their lives in controversial shootings that you could apply those terms to. So I do believe there is somewhat of a double standard, not to mention backing the police. And then all of a sudden, when January 6th happens, there's no trust for the police at all. I have to admit, there sounds like there may be some genuine double standards there. That's just calling a strike. True Sam, good evening.
Good afternoon, sir. How are we doing?
I'm doing very well. Have you been listening to the program?
Yes, I've listened to the last caller a little bit.
As you see behind me, do you believe President Trump owes Vice President Pence an apology? Let me give you some information. I don't know if you're watching the January 6th hearings or not, but it's as they continue developing, it is now looking as though Trump's own advisors, told him that what he was asking Mike Pence to do, which is not certify the election, Trump's own advisors told Trump, what you're asking this man to do is not legal. And yet Trump continued pushing him to do it, and also, gave him, the most tongue lashing you could think of for not doing it. So now that it's clear that Trump was asking him to do something that was a crime, do you believe Trump should apologize to him?
No. Pence should have did it.
He should have committed the crime.
On the strength.
He should have committed the crime.
Absolutely. And at a certain point in life, right is right and wrong is wrong. I can give you that. But once you're in the middle of something, sometimes you got to go with it. And like Pence, I was supposed to be your boy Like you gotta back him. Like we'll figure out if it was illegal afterwards. We'll figure that out later. But nah, I
This
don't need.
sound like a. This is starting to sound like a no snitching conversation in the hood. I was there. I don't. Wait a minute. I didn't
Hey,
expect this to go that way. It's a crime as the vice president, and you're suggesting he should ruin his legacy by committing something that is a crime, which also means that if you try not to certify the election in this criminal, you're probably not going to succeed doing that anyway. It's just going to delay it. But at the end of the day, if it's a crime, it's not going to work.
I mean, let's be honest. The president, the Congress, they break the law every day. If we're being honest, it's just on a scale that you and I will never find out about. So to act indignant for them to be like, "Oh, I would never commit a crime or break the law. I would never do something like that." Like, give me a break, man. Come on, stop it.
I understand your point. Politicians do commit nefarious activities all the time. I'm willing to concede that. But hell, you see what I look like. I'm African American. Folks commit crimes in my neighborhood all the time. Should I join them just because other blacks are committing crimes? That's
No,
kind of
that's
what you're
ridiculous.
saying.
No, that's ridiculous. On a
But
small
that's
scale,
what you
no.
said.
No. That's apples to oranges. On a small scale individual crime, no. What he was asking him to do was my man Trump. Again, I'm black too, for the sake of this conversation.
Fair enough.
Um, he was asking him not to certify it because I believe my man had a bigger plan and he could see what was going on ahead of time. And he's like, look, it may not be the right thing, or excuse me, it may not be the legal thing, but it's the right thing. Like we need to get ahead of this. Trump is my favorite president. I'm not even gonna lie to you because he's not a career politician. He spoke the truth.
Okay.
Was it the polite truth? No, but it's the truth that you need to hear. And sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I can't fault him for it. Now you have to pay the consequences for your actions. So if he asked him to break the law, then hey, big bro, you're gonna have to do a little bit of time, Don. But I can't fault him, and I don't look down at him as like, oh, you're a terrible person because hey man, you're trying to save us, and I can't fault you for that.
Well, what if Mike Pence genuinely thought he was trying to extend his time in power that he hadn't won? Why you're under the guise that Mike Pence would have automatically thought you're trying to save us? What if Mike Pence, being told by his own advisors, because not only was Trump and Mike Pence told not certifying the election was illegal, they also were both told that Trump actually lost the election. So what if Mike Pence, hearing Trump ask him to not certify the election, as opposed to thinking Trump was trying to save us, what if he thought Trump was trying to divide us and ruin democracy?
Then he did the right thing. Like I'll never fault Pence for it's a personal decision. He could have gone with it. He chose not to, and hey, that's on him. But it's not a situation of blame. I don't think it's well I need to blame him for not going along with Trump. If he genuinely felt that was the wrong thing, like you were saying, he was told that he lost. He was told by the advisors not to do it, and he did not do it. Then hey, you did the right thing for you, and I can't fault you for that. I'm just happy for the 4 years you gave me.
Okay, so let me ask you personally. You can answer it any way you want. Free speech here, never censor any comments. As I say always, it's a MAGA friendly zone. That's the preferred audience. Do you believe Trump won by a landslide?
I believe that presidents are selected, not elected. So
Did you
either
vote?
way, I haven't
Did
voted
you
since
vote?
2000. I haven't voted since 2004,
Okay, all right.
and I voted for myself. I voted for myself as a write-in candidate, but no,
Okay,
I don't put my faith in other people like that.
okay. That you're definitely a different kind of caller. All right, fair enough. So you don't. So in other words, if you believe people are selected, how could the election have been fraudulent to begin with?
Just like how the Electoral College voted him in last time, I think they thought, oh, he'll be a joke, things will go bad, and then they'll have no choice but to bring in Biden. But once they saw, like, hey, he's not playing around, he's going to try to actually change something, we got to get him out of here. Because you can't convince me that, what was it, 85 million people voted for Joe Biden? I don't believe that. Like that doesn't.
Well, if you believe the leaders are selected, it doesn't matter if only one person voted for Biden. It doesn't matter. What I'm trying to ask you then, based on your statement, if you believe presidents are selected, what kind of fraud was Trump talking about? Why is he bringing up ballot harvesting and Dominion machines if the person is selected? None of that matters.
So even if they're selected, you still have to make the fraud look believable. So we still have to go through the whole charade of they voted, and so you remember 2000? It was the same thing with the
Well,
hanging
I don't
Chad.
believe it, yeah, but I don't. But I also don't believe the presidents are selected the way you do. That's why I'm
Oh, okay,
asking it from your standpoint. If I thought the presidents were selected, there's no
right.
way I'm gonna complain about hanging chads and things in 2000. None of that matters. That's all for show.
No, I agree. It 100% is for show. I don't. He obviously knows something I don't, but I don't believe that our vote matters at all. Maybe in local elections, stuff like that. But once you get into the higher ups, like there's things that play that are beyond my scope or yours, and I don't even try to involve myself with that.
Okay, so and it just goes back to my original comment. Then, if you believe that none of the votes matter at higher levels, why is he bringing up dead people voting, illegals, and ballot harvesting? None of that would matter, right?
It's not that even if it doesn't matter, it still happened because you have to keep
Okay,
the fraud going. Most people, I'm
but
sorry, go ahead.
why would you fight to not certify an election based on something that does not matter?
But he doesn't believe that. Trump doesn't believe that
Okay.
people are selected. I believe that. So to him,
Okay.
whatever is going on, he has the inside line. He saw what happened. I'm gonna believe in my man, but nah, I don't. I think they've got him in there as a joke, thinking that
Okay.
he was just gonna mess up, and then he didn't. But I mean, I still love my man. 4 more
All
years,
right,
right?
man. Well, appreciate you coming through. Come on back through anytime.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Now, obviously, me and him, me and the previous caller have a difference of opinion. I've made it clear to the guy that I certainly believe that every vote counts. Now, he suggested maybe in higher elections. He's not the first person I've heard say that. And obviously, with the higher elections, whereas in the presidential elections, you do have the electoral college, whereas in the lower elections, it's simply the popular vote. So he's not the first person to suggest that on here. I tend to believe your vote matters, but that's me. He hasn't voted since 2004 because he has those convictions. Okay, we're going to move it on. Let's try MAGA.
Hopefully the delay is not there because it is a little bit more difficult. Okay, man, can you hear me now?
I can. I had to restart my
Awesome.
app. I don't know what
Okay,
was
fair
going
enough.
on.
Okay.
So really, really quickly. So today is Friday the 17th. I said yesterday Friday, meaning today.
Okay.
Um,
And
say that.
you're talking about at 9, right?
Yes. I don't know what time zone you are in. I'm at my 9, which is in 15 minutes. But
Ooh,
I
that makes
can't.
that. Yeah, see, 9. Yeah, it's 9 for me is an hour and 15 minutes. I'm in Central.
Would you like to do that in an hour? I can still do that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
Okay.
definitely fine.
I was like, crap. I said Friday. I was like, I should have said tomorrow. But
You're
all right.
fine. I'll be there. I'll definitely be there.
All right. Awesome. Then I'll see you in an hour.
Okay, fair enough.
All
All
right.
right,
Bye.
bye.
Participate in one of her lives. That's okay. Looking at the did Harris kick you to the curb or what? Louis Grant, you're talking about Kamala Harris? Trump's greatest president ever. In regards to Trump being the greatest, my previous caller before her suggested that Trump was one of the best presidents in his lifetime as well. Not the first person to say that, but his legacy with this January 6th hearing may not be very favorable. Just keep that in mind. He may be the greatest president ever to you, but the history books may ultimately be pretty harsh on Trump. Let's 52 cent.
Good
Trump's
evening, young
apology.
man. How are you?
I'm doing good, 52. How are you?
Have you ever served in the military?
No, not really. I'm just going to say no for sake of argument.
Okay, well, Trump does not owe Pence an apology. Pence owes Trump an apology.
Elaborate.
Trump was the president. Pence was the vice president. If the president, using the chain of command, tells the vice president to do something and he doesn't do it, he's a moron.
You know, this almost. Have you ever seen the movie? Oh man, I cannot even think of it now. With Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise ordering the Code Red with
Right.
Demi Moore in the middle.
Right.
You know the movie I'm talking?
Yes.
Okay. In that movie, what the hell is the name of that movie, folks? Anybody who knows that. But in the movie where Jack Nicholson yells, "You can't handle the truth," is A Few Good Men. Yeah. In that movie, Jack Nicholson played a colonel, and he was
Right.
ordering his lower privates, folks who are well below him, to commit a crime. And
Then
go ahead.
prosecute Trump. But it does not leave open to suggestion that he owes an apology to Pence. Pence was his subordinate. If my CO told me to ship blue Twinkies, I'm going to bring him to him saran wrapped.
What if your CO tells you to commit something you know is a crime?
You're not supposed to do it, but you still disobeyed an order.
Would you? So in other words, you're suggesting you commit the crime. You put the law behind the chain of command. You put the chain of command in front of the law, is what you're saying.
Pence needed to prove, first of all, Pence isn't breaking the law by not certifying the election. He has two choices.
What he was told. That's what he was told from his advisors.
Certify it or don't certify it. He's got two choices. All right? That's his duty. So how are they going to tell him he committed a crime for doing what he feels is his duty? That's like telling a jurist, you can't find him guilty if you think he's innocent, or vice versa. You got two choices. Whatever he picks is right because it was his choice.
Okay. Well, so if it was his choice, then he didn't do anything wrong, is what you're saying.
That's right. He could choose to go either way with that. Let's certify it. Let's not certify it.
Well, I guess the question I would ask is, now, when Trump was trying to get him to not certify the election, this is before Dinesh D'Souza 2000 Mules. This is before Mike Lindell's Cyber Symposium. This is strictly based on what Trump had presented at that point. With very little evidence, why would you? I mean, you would essentially be decertifying the election based on Trump's word alone. There was not Trump had lost in like 60 court cases at that point. There was nowhere near enough evidence for Mike Pence to say, yeah, he's right. Let me go ahead and not certify the election. Why would you, as a vice president, why would you dig that hole for yourself and follow him down it?
You don't know that it's a hole. If he'd had not certified the election, then they would have investigated why he didn't certify the election. Then the country would have done a thorough accounting of the voting in order to prove him right or wrong.
Well, if Mike Pence had not certified the election, they're going to look into why he didn't certify the election, and you're going to get Trump presenting the same information he presented to the courts. Dominion machines, dead people vote, all of the stuff that they're claiming he don't have any evidence for. They're not going to start going down their own investigatory paths. They're going to say, why didn't you certify the election? And that's when Trump is going to step in and start presenting all of this information that has turned out not to be true.
But it took how long to do that? Months. Forensically,
how long does it take when you keep in mind when Trump when January 6th happened, you already had 2 serious months of investigations from the Trump campaign. Several states did multiple recounts, audits, and everything. A lot of the investigation process had already been done. I mean, what are you going to go back to Wisconsin and say, I want you to now do a 4th audit? I mean, this stuff had already taken place.
Somebody just posted 81 million people voted How did they word it? Voted against Trump. How stupid can a statement be? There isn't a more stupid statement.
Actually, let me say it this way in regards to that. I didn't see it. I was looking at the screen, but in regards to the notion that 81 million people voted against Trump, I'm not going to speak specifically on the number, but I will say this: among the liberals, certainly today, but even on January 20th of 2021, when Biden was inaugurated, there was never any significant amount of excitement for Biden. Most liberals and independents voted for Biden because he was not Trump. So there is something to that claim that there are millions of votes for Biden that literally were votes against Trump. I absolutely believe that.
And now, since we've got so many liberals in here that I see in the comments, how you
I'm
liking it now,
surprised.
folks?
Yeah, I'm surprised.
How you liking it now, folks? How you liking it now?
Well, I
Tell me.
don't. Let me tell you from a liberal standpoint myself. I'm not liking the $5 a gallon in gas. I'm not liking the ridiculous inflation, things like that. But with January 6th, the hearings progressing on, I'm going to tell you from my own standpoint, if I'm sitting there on the jury, or if I had to make a decision about somebody, let's just say a regular citizen in America, there was a city councilman or a mayor or some lower form of government, and I'm hearing all of this stuff about that person, and I'm hearing citizens from that town saying, but he was a great mayor, he was a great city councilman. I'm going to look at this information and I'm going to come to the conclusion that this person probably needed to go. I mean, even though they run into town and doing a really good job, they're not following some of the primary rules of the position. Now, that's what I'm taking out of it. I could be wrong. That's fine. If you think I'm wrong, that's fine. But based on what's coming out of the January 6th hearing, it's not looking good for Trump. I'll let you continue. Go ahead.
Okay, let's put it in a black-white connotation. This trial.
Okay.
That would be like having the KKK be the jury for a lynching.
You're comparing Liz Cheney to the KKK?
I'm comparing the whole panel as the KKK against the guy that committed a lynching.
I get your comparison in the suggestion that it's biased coverage, but the KKK is all one mindset. When you look
And
at the
so are
panel,
liberals.
you got no. When you look at the panel here, you got Nancy Pelosi being led by Liz Cheney. This doesn't fit the narrative of the KKK. This is not one unified group. Liz Cheney has not a liberal bone in her body, so she's leading this. So it doesn't fit what you're suggesting with the KKK convicted an African American. It just doesn't fit that.
Well, the only way that this hearing, as they call it, or whatever, investigation, can be fair and impartial is if there is no elected officials on it at all. Just like seating a jury. They need to be impartial. They need to be showing where the Capitol Police were ushering them in. They need to be showing where they walk down the middle of the aisle, staying between the rope partitions, looking around in the Capitol in amazement. They need to show that.
Well, let me make it clear. Even if we do what you're suggesting, no elected officials, and show what happened, you're going to have people like the FBI, which is not an elected official. You're going to have folks like the Capitol Police. They're not elected officials. You're going to have witnesses like a lot of the protesters that were convicted and are now pleading guilty and telling their story. None of these are elected officials, and they're still condemning Trump. So you guys don't trust any of these people. You don't trust the FBI, even though they're not
They're
elected. You don't
condemning
trust the
Trump
Capitol
because
Police.
that's all they're showing us. They're not
Wait,
showing anything that could add a positive spin on what happened with Trump. He didn't say to go down there and riot. He said
everybody
be
knows
peaceful.
that though. Everybody knows he said that though. But you what? Let me say it this way. I get what you're saying is that not all the information is coming out, but I would submit to you if you're not watching the January 6th hearings, and I believe you're not watching them, right? You're not watching those, are
I'm
you?
not gonna. That'd be about as stupid as watching The View. No, I'm not watching it.
So here's the problem then. If you're defending Trump on the guys that all of the information in regards to protecting Trump is not coming out, but you're not watching the hearing, you're literally doing the exact same thing in reverse because now you're not hearing all the information that is convicting Trump.
But I am considering the source where that information is coming from.
And we're considering Trump as a similar source on the other side.
Well, when they sat down in that hearing they had, and they asked the FBI, did you plant people in there? Well, I can't answer that. Were FBI people suggesting that the Capitol be stormed? Well, I can't answer that. The freaking FBI can't even be trusted.
So if you're suggesting that the FBI can't be trusted, then virtually there is. I guess I would look at it like this: you're talking about presenting pictures and non-elected officials and things like that. The FBI is one of the overall controllers of what's going on. If the FBI cannot be trusted, then essentially nothing coming out of this event you're going to find trustworthy because they control the cameras and everything else.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just listening to what you're saying, and the way your mindset is set up, where you don't trust anybody, you believe Trump, and any counterpoint is going to be thrown away from you because it's going to be coming from either the Capitol Police or the FBI. They're the ones that have control of most of the footage. And if you don't believe them, then there's no way you could ever convict Trump. You already locked everybody out that would tell you anything counter.
Well, Pajama Pants Bill tells me to keep drinking the Kool-Aid. But anybody with the name Pajama Pants Bill, I don't hold much credence with your suggestion or your opinion.
All right. Well, I'm just simply saying, though, I'm just simply saying a lot of MAGA that I've talked to have made their mind up since January 6th. The evening of January 6th, they were already under the guise it was Antifa, Black Lives Matter. And there's just, I mean, they're with the mindset being closed. Trump is going to be innocent to you because if you truly don't, I don't even want to hear any counterpoints. I believe Trump said go peacefully. I believe people were let in. I believe Ashley Babbitt was, harmless, and I'm not going to accept any counterpoint. So I don't think there's anything you can do with that type of mindset.
Well, I think in 2024 we'll vote him back in, and we'll see how he does the next 4 years.
All right, I gotta go. Appreciate you coming through.
Yeah, my cult is being an American Union Yank. 20 years in the military. I've been around the block and the world.
Appreciate your service, man. You have a good one.
You too, buddy.
All right, always welcome. Welcome back. Me and 52 Cent don't agree on this, fair enough. But as I always say, folks, free speech is paramount here. It's not about whether I agree with you or not. I'm going to let you get your point across because that's how we do it here. Current caller has no substance. Okay. And you're still ignorant. So what's your point, sis, for reals? Come to Mr. Nice Guy 2024 Live, Kelly Camp Brown. Have Mr. Nice Guy. I don't mind going to other folks' lives occasionally and things like that. As you see, someone invited me to a live tonight. I'm going to attend right after I wrap this one up in about an hour. I don't mind joining some of the other lives. Sometimes I get shot down. You know how it works. But I don't mind joining some lives. If I got time, I'll come and chat. I'll come and chat up a spell. Okay, going on to... Oh, my God. Harris Jordan with the name Handsome Harris. I love it. Welcome back.
Well, look who's unblocked finally.
How are you? How the hell are you?
I am doing great considering the huge victory in South Texas this week.
South Texas. What victory are you talking about? The Hispanic that actually turned things Republican down there?
Yes, the first Republican to be voted in that district in 110 years. Yes.
Congratulations. She's like the right wing version of AOC. Very similar rise. Bootstraps. Something. Made something out of nothing. Congratulations. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, hey, I'm just saying that just proves that red wave is coming, baby.
Well, you know something, I haven't hid from that, despite my name. I've never suggested that I don't believe that red for the midterms. I absolutely believe it probably will be some sort of red wave. I mean,
I predict 251 Republican seats.
in Congress,
Yep. Take
I'm
it to
not
the
going to go
bank,
into the.
folks. 251.
Okay, I'm not going to go into the seats, but I do believe that the Republicans will do fairly well in November. I mean, based on what we're seeing right now, it's hard to imagine. I mean, the Democrats do not have a strong lead in the Senate anyway. So, yeah, my guess is he'll be a lame duck president this time next year. But we'll see. I could be
Uh,
wrong. You never know.
right. So with this sham hearing that's going on in Congress right now, why
Are
isn't
you
the
watching it?
No, I haven't watched it at all.
Then how do you know it's a
Not even
sham?
one
How
not
do you
even
know
one
it's a
second.
sham if you're not watching it?
Not one, because it's a sham. Because there's only
Oh,
one Republican. Hang on. There's only one Republican that's on the committee, correct?
okay.
Okay. So that's not bipartisan.
All right.
Now, why isn't the Republican or why isn't the Democrat led Senate committee hearing? Why aren't they investigating or cooperating with the DOJ? The DOJ is asking them for information and the paperwork that they are getting from all of these witnesses, but yet the Democrat-led committee is not cooperating with the DOJ. How come?
You know something? That's an interesting point. I will just say this, and I will let you continue. If I was on the liberal side, knowing that you don't trust the Capitol Police, you don't trust the FBI, if we give you the paperwork coming from the Department of Justice, if that paperwork doesn't say what you wanted to say, you're not going to trust them either. I mean, the liberals should be able to see the writing on the wall at this point that anything you present that's negative to Trump, they're not going to believe it. But go
Right,
ahead.
but if the Democrats are saying that we can trust the FBI and the DOJ can be trusted, then why aren't they giving all of the information? Because the DOJ is trying to start a criminal proceeding, but the
Because
Democrats
they
are
don't.
not even cooperating.
Well, and like I said, I'll say what I just said again. Even though the Democrats are saying you can trust the FBI, you can trust these entities, they know you're not going to trust them. Anything they present to you that's anti-Trump or against Trump, you're going to say it was doctored or it's not a legitimate document. Then you'd have to be stupid at this point as a liberal to think that you're going to present anything to them that they're not going to scrutinize and believe. Your
Okay.
mind has been made up since January 6th. So anything you would ask for, if it doesn't exonerate Trump, you're not going to believe it.
Okay. So then why is it, and this has just been released today, this information, why is it that the Stephen Colbert show, multiple producers were allowed access to the Capitol by Adam Schiff right before January 6th? They were given a private tour in restricted areas. So why was that not called out during the hearing? Why
I
hasn't
mean,
that been addressed?
are you saying that Stephen Colbert has something to do with what took place?
Yes, because three of his producers were cited for being and are currently charged with being at the quote unquote insurrection.
What is your proof that Stephen Colbert had access to the Capitol building?
The FBI charged his producers with trespassing from January 6th.
And what source showed you that the
It's
FBI?
all
You know,
over.
you
It's
don't
all
believe.
over the
Hold
news.
on a
It's
second.
all
You
over the
don't
news
believe
today.
the FBI. You don't believe the FBI, but you're believing this. So I'm wanting to find out where you're getting this from.
It's all over the news today. Go look it up. It's all over the place.
So you do believe the news now.
You've been telling me all along that I can trust the news. I give you the news from your sources, and now you're telling me
Okay.
why. You're asking me why do I believe them?
Well, I'm just trying to find out when we having these conversations and we're talking about things, can I cite the news to you? Because you're citing news to me. But usually when I cite news to you, you don't believe the news. So I need to know from now on, do you believe the news or not?
I'm believing the news that you tell me to believe, handsome. You tell me all the time that I should believe these people. So I
Okay.
go over to these people that you tell me to trust.
Okay, so
And
let me
now
ask
all
you
of a
this.
sudden, when I give you information from those same people, now all of a sudden, well, why do you believe the media all of a sudden?
Well, how could you not see the validity in what I'm asking you? You and I have talked dozens of times, and you do not normally believe the media. So why is what I'm asking you not a legitimate question?
Because I'm trying to acquiesce a little bit here, right? I'm trying to meet
Oh, I
you
like
in
the
the middle.
wording. Did you acquiesce? Acquiesce. I like it. You got your hands on the dictionary. Okay, fair enough. So you're
Trust me, I'm a
acquiescing.
lot more knowledgeable than you think I am.
I
I am a
love it.
lot
I
smarter than
appreciate
people
it.
think I am.
Okay, fair enough. I like it. I'm not insulting you. I'm joking. I'm not trying to insult you, man. I respect your conversation. But okay, so you're stating that Steve Colbert had access to, or his producers or whatever had access to the Capitol building. And the news that you heard this from, are the news stating that he had a part in what took place on January 6th? And if so, what part was that?
Yes, three of his producers were charged with trespassing. They had maps on their person of the Capitol building. And when asked where they got it from, they said from Adam Schiff. And they had proof
Okay.
that they were in the building in the days before January 6th, being given a private tour.
Okay. I'm looking on the media, looking on the news. It does look like that is, well, Fox News, and however you want to take Fox News. I'm not going to say Fox News is lying about this. I think that they try to cross some T's and dot some I's. And it does say what you're saying. U.S. Capitol Police arrest Stephen Colbert staffers at office building. They were charged. Hang on a second. I wasn't expecting audio to kick in. They were charged with illegal entry. Okay, all right, but were they charged with anything else other than illegal entry? Like, because you said they had something to do with January 6th, like setting something up, leaving something behind, opening doors. Were they charged with anything else?
I don't know if they were charged with anything else, but they were charged in relation to January 6th.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it looks this way now. What about the notion that some Capitol protesters are also given a tour by a Republican congressperson and they were taking pictures of certain areas in the building as well? Have you heard that?
I have heard that, and it's a public building.
So, no, they were in the basement of it.
No, that part is incorrect. They were never taken into restricted areas.
And how do you know that's not correct?
Because did you not watch the hearings?
Yeah, you're the one that said you did not watch them. Yeah, I watched the hearings, and the
Okay.
hearings are
They
What?
even admitted, I watched a clip from it, and they even admitted that nobody from a Republican led tour was ever taken to the basement.
Okay, and see, I the hearings I watched said something opposite of that. So, I mean, maybe we're seeing different things, but I'm so at the end of the day. Then, are you under the guise that most of what happened on January 6th was at the behest of liberals and folks like Stephen Colbert, his
Well,
producers?
I want to tag on to something that the last caller said. Okay, when he was mentioning that during the some of the hearings, the FBI was asked, "Was this an active FBI operation?" The exact words from the FBI were, "We cannot comment on active operations and investigations."
Okay.
So
Hang on one
if
second.
they can't comment on that, that means that they were involved in it, because they
Okay.
played an active part, and they cannot comment on it because it was an active operation, and they cannot comment on operations.
Let me ask you this, Harris. I got somebody that wants to speak with you on the other side. Are you willing to entertain this?
Sure.
Okay, remember, respectful, not talking over each other. I'm not going to let them do that to you either, and we'll make it happen. Okay, this is free for all. He asked to speak to you specifically, so I am going to bring him on. Free for all. What do you want to tell this man?
Hey, I don't necessarily want to tell him anything. I would like to. I just jumped in and handsome liberal. Again, I am a conservative, and I've always loved being in your lives. You conduct yourself so well, and I don't know. I love being a part of your lives, and I will always come in here to debate with you or anyone else. You do what you do very well, and I like that. So
Thank you. So I appreciate that. Much love to that. So, do you agree with what he's saying then?
I think I just jumped in. So handsome Harris, what what is your major feeling about J6 or what we're talking about?
I think that there were certain agitators that took advantage of a very emotional crowd.
Yeah.
I don't think that Trump really played as big of a part in it as people are trying to let on, because it had already started by the time Trump had ever even took the stage to say anything. And he never said, go beat the hell out of officers. He said, go patriotically and peacefully make your voices heard.
Okay.
And I think that the reason that the Democrats are and the swamp, as we like to call them, are so pissed off about January 6th is because they saw how quickly power can be taken away from them.
Okay. I will I will agree with that, and I do think that you know my thoughts on J6 right now. If I were to give it my score, uh, January 6th is right now the way they're presenting it. With this congressional hearing, that's what it is. It's a
Okay.
congressional hearing. It,
Let, let
it's
me ask free for all. Let me ask you this, because obviously January 6th happened for a reason. Do you believe Trump won the election by a landslide?
um no, I don't believe he won it by a landslide. I believe that there I think there is an obvious reason to question the results of the election. I don't
But
think
why is he okay? If you think that some activity took place
I,
that may have not been legal in the election, we can discuss that. But why is he saying he won by a landslide?
okay. I can explain that. So I think why he's thinking that he won by a landslide, or why people would think he won by a landslide, is because there were numbers that came out at roughly midnight, between midnight and 2 a.m. in most time zones, or at least Eastern to Central time zones, that were showing that he, in fact, was way ahead in most states, most swing states. And then when we woke up at, you know, 6 o'clock in the morning, those numbers were drastically different. So, um, and
I mean,
you,
I
you
understand. I
you can
understand what
attribute
you're saying,
that
but
to
he
the
has he.
mules or whatever, but I'm saying, how did that happen? Because those types of
Well, but
numbers did not come out in the previous election when you were talking Trump versus Clinton, like that.
okay,
None of
that's
that.
a that's a fair point in asking how did it happen. But
Right.
wouldn't it be proper to have your investigators find out why that happened as opposed to automatically stepping up and saying I won by a landslide?
Well, I think he said he won by a landslide beforehand, and then I obviously he backed it up after
But you don't see how making these statements without any strong validity could agitate and cause people to be confused about what happened. Even
Okay.
you admitting you
Now,
don't think he
now hang
won
on.
by a landslide.
Hang
So
on.
he's
Use
making
that
these
same
premature.
energy. use that same energy, Handsome, from 2016 when all y'all said the exact same thing about Trump and Russia, yet you had no evidence to back up any single claim, and it has been disproven
You
time and
held
time
us,
and time
and,
again.
and you held us accountable for doing that in 2016. You didn't just forgive
who
that;
has
you
been
held
held
them
accountable
accountable
for it?
for it.
Who has
But
been held
nobody,
Huh?
accountable?
nobody's been held accountable because
Not
if
one
No,
somebody,
no,
person
no.
has been held accountable for
if
lying.
somebody, if
Okay,
somebody was
you're
held
not you're
accountable
not
for
here you're
2016,
not here when I say held accountable. I'm saying that you made statements that it was BS. If January 6th did not happen and Trump just moved out of office, you wouldn't have any hearings or anything. We would be saying the same thing you said about the 2016 election. This was wrong for you to say that, et cetera, et cetera. The only reason why Trump is being held to a higher regard is because we have January 6th, whereas the Hillary Clinton
Okay,
campaign, the
and you
liberals
had
didn't do
January
that.
20th in DC. January 20th, 2017. What happened, Handsome? What happened in DC on January 20th, 2017? Tell me.
They threatened to hang the hang the vice president in 2017. I'm not aware of the Democrats
No,
doing
no, no, no,
anything.
no, no, no. They beat DC police officers. They burned limousines. They burned stores. They beat up police officers on January 20th, 2017.
I'm not
That is a
aware of that.
fact.
That's a fact I have never heard.
What do you
I
mean
have
you've
never.
never heard of it?
What? Okay, if they did what you're suggesting, Trump was president in 2017. What did the president do about it?
January 20th, on the inauguration, on Trump's inauguration, they literally burned DC. What do you mean you've never heard of it?
Free for all. What are you suggesting?
I'm not suggesting anything. What I'm saying is he is correct. He
And
is
what did the
correct
pre?
that
What
that,
did?
that when Trump
What,
was inaugurated, um, most of the Democratic National Party or the DNC in general did not did not um,
Denounce any of the violence.
exactly. So
so
and then we had 4 years. We had 4 years of mainstream media telling all of the American people that Trump was a traitor. He was a Russian. There was some
Well, let me
collusion.
stop you. Okay, in regards to the
Here
mainstream
comes the
media calling, hold on, Harris. Hold on, Harris. In regards to the mainstream media calling Trump a traitor and all that stuff, that's politics. Just like when Obama won, he was going to
No,
turn
that's not
America into. Hold
politics.
on,
That's
Harris.
not
Hold on,
politics
because
at all. You
Harris,
don't call a
Harris,
sitting president a
Harris,
traitor.
Harris, Harris, you're out of turn. I'm willing to let you talk, but you can't. You got to let me speak. If you think what I'm saying is
I'm
BS,
sorry, dude, but
then
that's bullshit. That is absolute
Harris.
bullshit.
All right. Okay. Obviously, I'm trying to talk to the man, and he's not. He's talking out of turn. I'm willing to let the guy speak, but you can't. Okay. Anyway, what I'm simply saying is this. I'll ask you this, free for all. What did Trump do if the Democrats did that to Washington D.C.? How did Trump respond to that?
Well, I think Trump responded the only way he could. Obviously he was impeached, and I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people don't know what an impeachment is. They think just because an impeachment has been brought on by Congress, that's some sort of indictment. An impeachment is not an indictment, and that's my whole thing about January 6th. So what's going on right now with this congressional hearing? It's just a congressional hearing. The reason that they're not putting forth an indictment is because they don't have the evidence to put forth an indictment. If they had
Okay.
the evidence to put forth an indictment and basically oust Trump from being able to run again, they would. But rather than put forth the indictment, and if there were an indictment, there would be a defense. there would be a defense for Trump. There would be witnesses called from the defense.
Okay.
Nancy Pelosi would have to. Well, hold on. Let me finish. There would have to be witnesses called. Nancy Pelosi would be called. And why did she not? Why did she not allow the National Guard, the 20,000 National Guard troops, to be dispersed at the
Okay.
Capitol building
All right.
when
Let me
Trump
get
had?
in here. I'm not going to. You're throwing so much out there. I'll be on backtrack. I'll be on forgot some of it. But what I'm simply saying, in regards to you said it's not a hearing and they don't have the information to indict him yet.
Well,
With
it's
all
not
due
a
respect, the hearing is not over with yet, so we don't know if there's enough information because it's still ongoing. And I will say this: when it comes to indicting Trump, when it comes to
they
going after
won't
Trump,
indict him because they don't have the
okay,
evidence to indict him.
then
If they
then
did, they
you could
would.
be right. Okay, you could be right, but we have to let the hearing conclude before you can say that. And
It's
what I'm
not a
simply
hearing.
saying,
It's
okay,
not a hearing.
whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, I'm just simply saying it has to be concluded. You're putting the cart before the horse. You're already saying what's going to happen before this is over with. And what
Well,
I'm just simply saying, and you could be right, but we have to let this conclude. In regards to indicting Trump, I will just say this. I've said it on many broadcasts before. Going after Trump at this level is not safe for America. So if they're going to do something like this, they're going to cross more T's and dot more I's than usual. So the notion that if they had the evidence, they would have already indicted him. I'm just going to tell you, if they go after him, they're going to present. Keep in mind, a lot of folks are not even watching this. A lot of folks had their mind made up on January 6th that he didn't do anything wrong. So you can't just indict him like you would indict a normal person. You got to go well above and beyond because so many people are not going to believe what you present anyway. So that's what I was saying. But go ahead.
well, no, I guess the handsome liberal. Hey man, I've always loved you, and I think we've always had some good back and forth. Um, if you can tell me what Trump did wrong, obviously I think we all know that he thought he wasn't well served in this election, and I think he has a lot of reason to believe, as far as listen, I'm not this whole 2,000 mules guy or whatever, but for anybody to say that you shouldn't have to show identification to vote in this country, but you have to show identification to buy cigarettes. You have to show identification to buy a beer. You have to show identification to get into a club. You have to show identification to get a passport. You have to show identification to get on a plane. You have to show identification to get into a library. You have to show identification for everything you do in this country. But for some reason, if you have to show voter identification, it's racist. And to
Okay.
and to, and to hold
I
on, hold
agree
on.
with that.
I'm not done. I'm not done. And to say that the only reason you can't show voter identification is because you somehow, because of your race, gender, or populace, you can't afford or figure out how to get identification is
Okay.
racist in and of
All right.
itself.
Okay. That's I get what you're saying, and I'm a fan that you should have to have an ID if you're an adult. But that's to me is a different argument. I think what we're dealing with here is trying to figure out, is he responsible for what happened on January 6th or not? I get that you don't believe that, but that is what the hearing is about, is whether
Well,
he is responsible. Hold on,
actually,
let me finish.
yes, sir.
So that's what the hearing is about, whether he had first, in your what you suggesting that he had a reason to think the election was held. When you have so many of his advisors, so many of Mike Pence advisors, his own attorney general, his daughter, and all of them coming forward and saying, we knew he lost. And yet Trump supporters are saying he still had a reason to believe he won. That is what's coming out. And that's what they're trying to present at the hearing, is that they're trying to present it from a side that he knew he lost and kept pursuing this anyway. Now, I understand you disagree with that, but that is what the hearing is about. I got to move on, but I'll give you the last word.
Well, I don't think we're ever going to know uh, whether or not the numbers were correct, and reason being is because we've moved on, right? Like we have a new president. Okay.
No,
Um,
no. I don't think we moved on though.
well. Hold on. Okay. So you're talking to a conservative who strongly believes that there are major holes in our voting system. You're also talking to a conservative who strongly believes that regardless of those holes, the transition of power needs to have that stability. Okay. So that stability and that transition of power, Joe Biden now has the presidency, right?
That's
And
you though.
hold on,
That is you. That's you. You know how many conservatives I've talked to who don't believe that man is a legitimate president? That's you
but
talking that way. But go ahead.
but but listen to me. What I'm saying is Joe Biden is the legitimate president, right?
To you, to me, but not to a lot of MAGA.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He is the one that signs the executive orders.
You're
He
not
is the
hearing what I'm
one.
saying.
He is the
You're not
one that
hearing what
makes the decisions. MAGA doesn't make the decisions. Joe
that ain't
Biden.
what I'm talking about. You're not talking. You're talking about something different. You said that we've moved on. I'm telling you, if somebody is saying that the guy is illegitimate, they have not moved on. That's what I'm
That,
telling you.
but that's okay. It doesn't change the fact
Okay,
that
all right.
Biden,
That's
so
fine. That's fine.
he's the president. So Joe
Okay.
Biden now the president. His policies, everything that is going on in this country currently, that's on him. Okay.
Okay.
So when we're going through the things that we're going through currently, that's the president, that's the person that has to answer to the American people. Now,
Okay.
my problem is when he has to answer to the American people, he blames it on Russia or Trump. Like
Right.
somehow this man blames it on everybody else, but never says, "Well, you know what?
Okay,
I fucked up."
and that's fine. That's a different conversation, though, man. I understand. I
Any
don't.
comment?
I don't buy into that either. But I got to move on, man. That's a different conversation. He's doing a bad job. I get that. He's
Hey,
blaming it on everybody else. I get that. But I got to move it on, man.
all right, man. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. All right. Always good to hear from you. Okay. And he's correct. The man is blaming a lot of the failures of the administration on other folks. I understand a lot of liberals believe that it's Russia and all of that stuff. Yeah, you're free to make your decision, but he is correct. Just like any politician, they're going to blame the good things on themselves, and they're going to blame the bad things on somebody else. Let's go to Frank Harris in the box, and we'll keep it moving. You never heard Trump say he made any mistakes. That is true. Trump never copped any mistakes. He don't even apologize for stuff. So I agree with that. Frank Harris, good evening.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Have you been listening to the
How you
program?
doing?
I'm doing very good.
Oh, I always watch in and out on you. And I gotta say, for a Mega Man dude, he really does represent Trump badly. But let's just put the facts. Trump is just the face of us Republicans. He's the face of us, our voice, our people's voice. He's only the face. Like Biden's
Okay.
only the face of theirs. Biden ain't running shit. We all know that. Come on now. He's tired.
So
He's
so
old. He's just a face.
if Biden is the face but he's not running shit and Trump was the face, was Trump also not running shit?
No, I'm saying that Trump had a power behind him. I mean, any man, any business. If you start a business today, dude, and you have a powerful man with a lot of followers and a lot of shit, you're going to go far. But if you start a crackhead business with a crackhead, you only get crackheads. You see what I'm
All
saying? So
right.
us Republicans, we love Trump because Trump's saying our words. Trump's saying what we people are saying. You know what I mean? When we're at the gas pumps and we're paying more for gas, Trump's saying that. Our borders are being
Okay.
flooded. Trump's saying that. The
Let me
economy
ask
is
you this
rising
question.
and
Let me ask you this question:
Okay.
Are the Trump voters saying that Barack Obama was born in Africa and you want all Muslims
I
banned
don't
coming
care
into the
about that.
country? Well,
Obama's
we
just a
do.
face too.
We
Obama's a
do.
face too. Come on, man. We all know that one man don't run the entire goddamn world, dude. One man runs it
Okay.
like all kings and queens. And I mean, back in Egyptians, if we watched everything that we were taught as growing up, there was a king that always sought for all power.
Okay. All
Was
right.
that not true? I mean,
I,
there, when you watch every show that you ever watch, was there a king that always sought for to be the one power?
Yeah, but I'm going by your comment that Trump was saying what the voters and how you supporters felt.
What us
And then when I
people
asked
want? What?
you, when I asked you, do you feel like some of his greatest hits that he's getting criticized for, you like it don't matter? It does
Well,
matter. That's why he's not in office.
that's just because we have soft ass people that don't work in 124-degree weather, painting houses or slinging mud or digging ditches. I mean, come on, some of them sit behind a computer, dude, and AC, dude, and they don't even know what the hard life is.
But as a president, you know everybody that votes is not digging ditches and working
As
out in
as a
120. Here's the problem, and I'll let you continue. But here's the problem: as
Let
a
me break it down to
politician,
America. Hold on. Let me have 5 seconds. Okay, as my president speaking in my behalf before the world, you know, a world where women can't show their faces, you know, Chinese, all the shit that they have to go through. I want my president to walk up and say, hey, fuck you, dude. This is how America works, dude. We got the right to freedom. We have the right to anything that we fucking want to do. If I want to be a banker, I'm a banker. Me, I'm a painter. I know how to do tile. I know how to build houses, but I've chose painting because it's more pleasing to me. I've lowered my standards in life, dude. I don't need a brand new car. I don't need a fucking fancy house. I just want to paint, dude. I've got a lot of money in the bank. I can
okay,
even stop working right now, dude, and
okay,
just live out the remainder of my life in my RV. But
all right.
like literally, I want a president
Here's
that
the
says,
problem.
"Hey, dude, fuck that. This is how shit's supposed to run." And Biden
Okay,
is looking at everybody else
okay.
to run
You,
everything.
okay, let me throw this back at you. And what you just suggested, I want a president that's fuck that. This is how it's supposed to run. I think what you and Trump fail to realize is that as a president, you work for the people, not the other way around. If the people have a
That's what I
problem
mean.
with hold on. I gave you five. Hang
Okay,
on a second. As a
I'll give
president,
you. Go ahead.
you work for the people. You work for the people, not the other way around. If the people are suggesting that they have a problem with your language, you don't tell the people who you work for, fuck you, and then expect them to vote for you. That's a rookie mistake when folks say that
Have
he's
you
not a
never worked
typical
a
politician.
construction job before?
Hold on a second.
Have
That
you
is a
never
rookie.
worked a construction job?
Hold on. Every voter does not work in construction. There, you got people from all walks of
Okay.
life that vote for this man. You can't
Do
treat
you have a
everybody like
boss?
a construction worker.
Do you have a boss?
Yeah, I have a boss. What's your point?
Has your boss ever told you to fuck off?
My boss has, but I'm
Have
the
you ever
boss.
quit a job? I'm asking you, have you ever quit a job from a boss telling you to fuck off?
You know,
Basically,
I've
dude,
never
it's
had a
got to
boss.
be his way or you
Wait.
got.
Hold on a second. I think you did not hear what I just told you. I said, as a politician, the politician works for you. You don't work for them. You are the boss of the politician, not the other way around. You're talking about a boss telling me to fuck
Okay,
off.
well,
I am the boss when it comes to politics. The people are the boss, not the president.
tell me,
So
tell me where Trump told us people to fuck off and he didn't tell Nancy Pelosi and any one of those other fucking politicians to fuck off. He told the politicians that are fucking us to fuck off, but he did not tell us people to fuck off.
you're not.
So he's working for the people.
I, I
Is
still
he
do
not?
not think I still do not think you're hearing what I'm saying. It is an absolute certainty that when Trump was in office, and he said it himself, he realized his tweets were pissing off the voters, which is what he works for. He is not the boss; they are. If you know that your bosses,
Oh,
which are the hold on, hey, you're
we
not. I'm gonna let you talk, man, but you got to let me finish my
okay.
point. As a
I know.
politician, this is what happens when you are not a typical politician. You make rookie mistakes. As a politician, you work for the people. That's why you go try to get their votes. You try to sell yourself to them because without the people, you do not take power. You have to listen to the people. If they're making it clear they do not like the tweets and insults, you don't hold up a rally where you're selling stuff that says fuck your feelings. That is not going to fly. That's the point I'm making. But go ahead.
Fuck your feelings. Are you kidding me, dude? LGBTQ. Dude, I don't want my kid to walk around and see sex on the street. I'm sorry, that's what you fucking portray. You portray
That ain't
homovisms
got
on the
nothing to do with
street.
this, though. That ain't
No,
got
no,
nothing to
hold
do with
on.
this.
It does. It has everything to do with this. When you say that, dude, when you say that Trump, dude, he's after the vote. Trump's not after the voters. He's for the people. He don't give a fuck about the votes. He's a fucking billionaire. He's fucking Trump. Dude,
Yeah,
the guy was fucking a legend before he even started.
they're
Like,
all millionaires. They're all
but here's
millionaires.
my thing. How much is the United States worth?
I don't know how many trillions of dollars the U.S. is worth.
If you had to pick somebody to run those billions and trillions and billions of whatever the fuck they call it money, okay, who do you want running? Do you want a guy that ran a fucking mom and pop store? Or do you want a guy that ran an empire? Because all the United States is it's a bank. United States is nothing but a bank. And we need a CEO, not a fucking president. We need a fucking CEO to manage our money right. And that man,
Okay.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm a construction worker. I paint houses. Today, dude, I was in 115-degree weather out here from 9 a.m. till 5 a.m. in Florida. So there's a heat wave
Let me
going on
let me ask you this
outside.
question. Let me
I
let
made
me ask
more
you.
money. I have made more money under Trump than I ever have under Obama, Bush, and Biden right now. I am losing money.
That's fine. What about voters who vote for something other than money?
Well, remember this, dude. It's not about money, dude. It's about the economy. It's about the guys that build the house. Where do you live?
Okay.
Where do
Okay.
you live
Let
when we can't
I
afford
live
to
in a
build your houses no more and
okay.
we can't come to fix your plumbing and we can't fix your toilets from being clogged and you got shit rolling, because our gas prices are so up. You guys keep thinking about truckers, dude, and you don't think about the big picture. Like me, I'm ready to just stay at home and be like, you know what? Fuck people and their toilets overflowing, dude. They can have shit all over their house. They voted for Biden. Like dead
Okay.
serious. Like I don't
Okay.
even have to spend gas
This is
money.
what this is what I don't get and what I will never get. The
This
tweets
Trump is for
and
us little people. He's for the
okay,
little people, not
that's
the guy like you. If you turn on
okay.
my video right now, I'll show you my RV, dude, and barely $500 worth of living. And I work fucking 40 hours a week, dude, and I'm busting my ass. But I don't have a room like you, dude. Seriously, I don't have all those pictures on the walls, and I don't have that luxury
Okay,
house.
listen. Okay, let me get in here. I'm because you got more. You've said more than I can remember, but let me get in here and just say this.
Trump is
If
helping guys like us, and he's
okay,
got every
I
back of
get
it.
your point. You got to let me in. You're saying so much. I don't even remember it all to respond to it. The point I'm just simply
Well, I
saying
want
is
you on
that
our mega side. I want you on our mega side. You have a
okay.
powerful Jesus voice.
All
Your
right.
voice is so powerful.
You ready to let me talk now?
Yeah, I'll let you talk now. Sorry, man. I've had a long day. I've been in 124 degrees. I got a fucking six pack in me.
Okay. All right. Here's the point. You have to listen to your voters. I don't care if you think what your voters are saying to you is bullshit or it's unimportant. If at the end of the day you want that person's vote, if they're telling you they don't like the tweets and they don't like the insults, and you go, well, look at how great the economy is, you're ignoring what they're telling you they care about. If they don't like your tweets and they don't like your insults, either you stop doing it or you don't get that vote. It is as simple as that. Trying to divert to something else that you believe is more important and telling them, forget what you care about. Look at what I think is important. That's like with Obama. Obama thought, clinging to their guns and Bibles. You care about guns and Bibles. So if he is trying to take you in a different direction than you want to go, he's not going to get your vote. That's what Trump and a lot of my MAGA followers do not understand is that if the voters are complaining about something, you better damn well address it. That's all I'm saying. I gotta move it on, or I'll give you the last
Hold
word.
on now, hold on. Don't cut me off on that because you said your piece on the voters. But let me state this. Trump has millions and millions of people blocking traffic and having huge rallies. Where the fuck are all the Democrats? Where's your rally to speak up? Because we have spoken up and we want our shit done. You guys
Okay.
aren't speaking the fuck up. You guys aren't, dude, what do we see? We see Black Lives Matter. That's fine. Dude, but it's burning cities, anarchy, chaos, LGBTQ. What is it? It's protest, it's violence, it's bullshit. Like, people are actually talking, patriots and mega crowd are talking about our food prices, our baby shortages, our food shortages, our high gas prices, our high rent prices. We're actually talking about real life shit. And
You're
that's what
doing
Trump is saying.
you're doing exactly what I just suggested. I said if somebody tells you they care
No,
about the
you
tweets and
suggesting that
insults,
I go off and I think left, dude, and it's not that bad, and it's actually that
no,
bad, brother.
I'm suggesting that if people tell you they don't like the tweets and insults, bringing up the economy is not going to make them forget the tweets and insults. Then you started talking and went right back to the economy and said forget the
Tweets
tweets and
and
insults.
insults. Tweets and insults. I mean, dude, do you watch TV anymore? Like, seriously, Jalen. I mean, all that kind of crap, dude. Every TV show is about hashing on somebody. It's all about fuck you, fuck this, fuck that. There
All
ain't no
right,
fucking being nice. If you're being nice, dude, you're getting rolled over on. Do you
okay,
honestly
all right,
believe
man.
that I believe that ISIS does not, you know why we're getting fucked right now? It's because of those nice tweets. I'm going to say that by Biden. Your nice tweets actually have us getting our borders ran over and all that bullshit. And our mean tweets from our president is actually holding strong like he's a fucking dick like Putin. And I'm
Okay,
sorry, dude, but Putin's a dick. But, dude, sorry, man. You know, fucking it takes a king to run a fucking castle. And every
all right,
little queen, dude, will always fucking fail.
all right, man. I appreciate you coming. I gotta move it on. Come back
Man, it's
anytime.
Trump. And
All
fuck
right.
Trump. It's
Hey, he had a lot to say. Like I said, folks, free speech. Clearly, we do not agree. There is no denying me and him does not agree. But at the end of the day, I let folks get their point across, and he got his point across. My only point, and by the way, folks, his sentiments are very similar with my audience. Most of my MAGA supporters believe similar to he did. You know, screw how you feel about the tweets. The insults don't matter, or like he mentioned, it's happening everywhere else in American society. So get over it. But I'm just trying to let folks understand that if a voter, I don't care what a voter is complaining about, if Obama gets off a helicopter and he does not salute the soldier that's standing there when he gets off the helicopter, if that is something that thousands of people start complaining about, either you address it or you do not get their vote. I don't care how petty you think that is. Either you address it or you do not get their vote. That's how this works, folks. It's not about telling them, well, what you care about is not important. What about this over here? Voters don't want to hear that. I could come to you and tell you, if you're straight and you have a husband or a wife and you're heterosexual, why do you care that your neighbor wants to marry another man? I can tell you how unimportant that is to you all day. But if you are not in favor of same-sex marriage, it's going to come to fruition come election time. You can't tell the voters what they care about is not important. And that's what a lot of my MAGA folks, including the last caller, was doing, is trying to get you to somehow understand that what you're concerned with is meaningless, even though your vote is just as powerful as his. Moving on to the next, Papa Bear, 6-7. They went nuts over President Obama wearing a brown and tan suit. Yeah, I believe they had a debate and there was no flag on the stage or something like that, and they went crazy over it. You can't tell the voters what they are concerned with is petty. Papa Bear, good evening.
Hey, Hassan, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Okay, I wasn't going to come in. I was going to just let it watch it for a while, go ahead and start on my first live. But, I have a problem with the military 20-year vet. I honestly do, because evidently, you know, he's talking to people that's never served. Okay. And the whole
Okay.
deal is this: you can disobey an illegal order, and
I know
they
that. You know,
and
and
they
I
fought.
heard
I
him
know.
saying that. I heard him saying that if you obey an order that you know is illegal, you can be held accountable for that. I knew that when he was
That's
saying that.
Lieutenant Kelly. That's Lieutenant Kelly.
Yeah.
And I
Even
have
in
disobeyed a order. And I informed that man that order was illegal. Now you can't say, well, he ain't done. I ain't never had a job. I started in digging footings for houses in West Virginia. I ended up in carpet mills in Georgia. I did heavy equipment construction. I've hammered nails, and I've also worked in law enforcement. So you can't put me out. I ain't never done a day of hot work in my life. Okay, but
yeah.
what the whole point is this is people, if you know the order's wrong and you have the balls to damn take it on a step higher, then and you think you can take the heat, you do it. I am 100% service connected injury by a stupid ass lieutenant. Okay, and
Sorry to hear that.
yeah, he threw a little thing called an artillery simulator under me while I was sleeping.
Oh,
Now I can't go to sleep after 40 years without having something blow up in my house before I go to sleep. Okay,
wow.
and
Very sorry to hear that.
oh, that's
You know, it's
that's life.
interesting. It's interesting you mentioned about not disobeying in order that you know is illegal, because I use the example of the movie A Few Good Men, and oddly enough, even in that movie, at the end of the movie, the two individuals that followed that illegal order, they got punished, even though they followed that order from a colonel. I remember one of the characters in the movie saying that we did what we were told. We follow orders. Why are they discharging us from the military? And the other guy goes, because we knew what we were doing was wrong and we did it anyway. So, good point.
So 20 years, I got a lot of respect for him. You can't tell me I haven't been in a combat zone. Okay,
Yeah.
but I've had I actually had an illegal order gave to me. The man told me I would be back under him the next day. I made one phone call. When I did, I called the colonel, who was actually I called my sergeant, who in turn called the colonel, and the colonel called me back. I was on the DMZ in Korea, right off of it, 6 clicks back. Uh, and the colonel told me, he said straight up, hey, I'll handle it from here. He said, and you will not be back in that man's unit.
Well,
So
fortunately,
you can do
fortunately,
it.
you were able to get your hands on somebody where cooler heads prevail, because a lot of women apparently in the military that have been victims of sexual assault have not been able to get that type of a response.
Yeah, I agree. That I walked
Yeah.
in Carson, and I think it was 80 or 81. I walked right past a dead girl in Carson, where somebody took her out, dumped her in a ditch. You go ahead and look at your news things. In a couple of years, you'll find out about the girl. So that's a dead young lady. I think it was 81 or 80, maybe 82. Okay. But some dude beat her to death, met her at the NCO club, took her out, tried to rape her, I guess, and beat her to death later. I went to work that day, and I walked in and walked right by her, didn't see it. Turned around about half an hour later, and the MPs are all over there. And what the heck's going on? But anyhow, I don't care what red. I've told you this. Common sense is my deal. Okay, do common
Right.
sense. But I don't care if you're red or you're blue. It doesn't make any difference. A man Pence swore to uphold and protect the Constitution. And that's what he did. Hey, I got news for you. I'm a Democrat, but I don't give a damn. I vote for the best guy. And right now, if Pence runs, guess who's getting my vote?
That's
Because
a fair
why?
point. That's fair. You know, the
If you
crazy thing is, here's what's odd. If we're at a point now where if Mike Pence was to run, he might actually get more Democrat votes than he would Republican votes because of Trump.
Yeah, I know. But anyhow, here's what we had going on in the election. And I don't care. Hey, they can say all they want to in that word and that thing under you. I haven't read a word of it since I've been talking and won't. You know, if you see something really interesting, say, "Hey, Papa, I see. I've got glasses. I can't hardly see, and I am very educated. I've been to college too. Thanks to the military. When I got out, the old man went to school. But what I think is this: when we had the election, okay, we had Dumb and Dumber. We had to damn accept dumb. I'm sorry. That's exactly what it was. The lesser two evils right there.
Yeah,
You
I
had
agree.
a
I
man
agree
that
with
don't
that.
do crap and is too old, and a man that's trying to take over the country. And
Yeah.
and we talk to the guy that don't know crap. But hey, listen, I'm not here to argue with these people. I love them all. I mean, hey, listen, you got to be one color when you're doing this shit, and actually it's three colors, and that's red, white, and blue. And don't call yourself a patriot if you think you can overthrow our government,
Damn.
because then
Damn.
a patriot
Damn.
a patriot does not go after democracy. And they have, well, so and so, okay, let's make it a true democracy. Let's get rid of the Continental Congress. They won't be a Republican man in there ever again, because we
Okay.
do outnumber. If sensible people could do sensible votes, that is great. I love that. But it looks to me like, hell, I wish the parties would just disappear and they'd put a bunch of people out there and the public could vote on them and make this a true democracy. And then you pick, okay, they've no got an agenda. They don't have it. I am a Second Amendment guy. I could open up my closet, open up my safe, put 7 guns out there, right? But I don't believe an 18-year-old's got a business of getting one. If you can't buy a beer at 18, then why in the hell, or a pistol, why in the hell do you want to give him an AK? And he's not had military training.
Yeah. Wow. I have nothing to come back with you on this. I spot on comments, even with the Biden being too old, the lesser of two evils. Hey, I refer to your comment as a home run. I'm moving on, but damn, that's all I can say. I
Okay, bro.
appreciate you coming through, man.
Hey, listen, and if they
Go ahead.
want to say, well, he's got a southern accent, he bet yourself. Let me see. I'll just give you a list of places I grew up in: Chicago, Detroit, was in Washington, D.C., West Virginia, Atlanta, Birmingham, and I was born in California. And where I live now is Montana. I have been all over
Wow.
this country and met a lot of people. My dad didn't hold a good job. He didn't have a good education. So he went from job to job to job to keep the people going. Love you. I
Good
love
on you,
everybody
man.
in this room. And I don't care if it's your Republican, Democrat, Independent, or just somebody said the hell with the whole thing. Listen, you're American. Think of that. Think of that Constitution. Pull that damn thing out online and read it. And if you think I'm lying about the dead girls and shit up there, go and look it up, because I'm guaranteed Colorado Springs paper has got the incident.
All right. All right, man. I'm gonna move it on. Thank you for
Love you,
your
bro.
service. It's always a good call, man. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Real quick, I'm gonna take one more. I'm gonna have to wrap it up shortly, folks. Patriot rep, we're gonna break back. Trump apologized to Mike Pence. We know that's not gonna happen, obviously, but based on the events that took place, is why I'm asking that question. Patriot rep, good evening.
Good evening. First things first, I got to say, man, I don't meet too many liberals uh that handle themselves and conduct themselves the way you do, which I give you grace for that. But to prove my point, I guarantee you're
Well,
going to
hang
speak
on,
time
real
to.
quick. I'm gonna let you continue, but real quick, I'm gonna use that as a plug. That was good shit. Follow the channel, folks. For folks who do appreciate that, I would appreciate those who follow. Get your notifications. You always get a chance to come in here. Free speech. I don't block your comments or censor you under any circumstance, regardless if I agree with you or not. Patriot rep, continue.
But yeah, the point will be proven in a matter of minutes how people will begin to start trolling your comments here, which I'll probably not read. But to go back to what he said a minute ago, Papa Bear, first thing first, our founding forefathers are afraid of a democracy because I don't think people understand what the difference between a democracy and a republic is. That's the first problem we have.
Elaborate on that. Elaborate on that.
Okay, well, our founding forefathers built this Congress. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you may know. I'm running for Congress. That's why I am a politician. And I'm very educated on our Constitution. I'm not going
You're
to, I'm
currently
not.
running for Congress now?
Yes, well, 24. I'm running 24. That's correct.
I mean, you want to reveal your name and things like that on here or not?
Yeah, I mean, my name is Brian Burke. You can look me up, patriotrep.com. That's my campaign site. But
Okay.
you can pull it up if you like. But
I'm
what I
doing
got,
that. Continue. I am doing that.
no problem. But what I got to say is people don't understand what a democracy is, what a republic is. Our founding forefathers, first of all, what was the worst thing? What was it? What was their biggest fear? A democracy. And why is that? Because Congress was built to protect the minority. Congress was built to protect the minority, whether you are a liberal or you are conservative. And when I say that, this is what I'll give you a fine example. Let's just say you like chocolate ice cream. Now, let's say there's 60 liberals and or 50-50. We're split 50-50 or 40-60. 40-60. Liberals say in a democracy, it's more of the majority rules. So in a democracy, if they say, well, you're not allowed to have ice cream because there's 60 of us, there's only 40 of you, you're not allowed to have ice cream. Well, now, the way our republic is built is that if I can point to a law that says I can have ice cream, the majority does not rule any longer. Now, that
I get
law
the point.
the law I'm referring to is the Constitution of the United States. That's the law.
Okay.
Now when we get back to we go back to the J6 and all that, people have their own beliefs, people have their own understanding or thought.
Let me ask you, because I got your website behind me, but I didn't look at your party affiliation. Are you an R or a D? Are you Republican or Democrat?
Well, a lot of people will say Republican or Democrat, but I think we have a lot of weak Republicans in office. So I consider myself a Republican. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to make the loudest roar you ever seen. That's our
Yeah, I
problem.
see you're running for second district in Ohio, and you do have yourself listed as a Republican. What is your take on January 6th?
I think a lot of things happened on January 6th that shouldn't have happened. Do I think it's a fault of one man? No. Do I think this so-called hearing that they're having? I think it's a TV show. The reason I say that is because, like one of your guests you just had a few minutes ago, any hearing, you would have two sides. You would question each side. You would have witnesses. That's a hearing. There would be due process, which we're having none of. Okay, but I think that when Liz Cheney said on the first day of the so-called hearing, it's that they knew prior to in December and November, or all this, they knew prior to. Then I believe it's the fault of the Congress itself. They're going to try to say he sparked a riot when he said what he said on the stage when he did say peacefully protest and let your voice be heard. They had prior knowledge. So whose fault really is it? How can it be the fault of one man when they openly admitted it on national television in front of, I don't know, 20 million, maybe tops? So, but the problem here is the
I will
hatred.
just say this in regards. Okay, I will just say this in regards to the hearing. I just want to see it concluded, and I will be more in a better position to make more of a judgment. I'm looking at your site though. You certainly are in the camp for Trump. I mean, you got MAGA at the top of the page. It looks like I see a picture of I guess is that I can't think of his name right now, but you got Russian hoax. You got
Well, those are hearings. Those
Mayorkas
are not.
DHS ignorance. You're promoting 2,000 mules on your campaign website. You're promoting 2,000 mules. So
That's
I
correct.
think you're fairly in the camp for Trump. We can say that.
Well, I don't know if I'm so much fairly in the camp of Trump, but I think the MAGA slogan is perfect. I think "Make America Great Again" would be perfect. Do
Well,
I agree?
well, at this point, you might. I mean, even I don't know if he has or not, but Trump is a very smart businessman. At this point, you got to assume that MAGA has almost been patented by Trump. Now, I do understand Ronald Reagan used "Make America Great," and I think Bill Clinton used it also, but from this point throughout history, it's kind of like the swastika. And I'm not comparing Trump to Hitler or anything, but the swastika existed before Hitler. But from this point on, anytime you see the swastika, anytime you hear MAGA, from this point on, you're going to think of Trump, probably for the next 100 years. Anybody else that has used Make America Great, they have been tossed by the wayside. He has taken that slogan and owned it. So
I
when you
would agree
put
with that.
MAGA 2024 at the top of your website, people think you're for Trump.
I would agree with that. Now, if Trump was to get back, if he was to run against Biden again, you better believe I think even you probably would vote for Trump. I mean, at this point, with everything going on in the economy,
You know, I need to see the hearing first because even though I believe Trump was a far better operator in terms of the economy and even to some degree running the country, I don't want somebody who's trying to be overstep his power. And right now, looking at what happened on January 6th, there is at least a legitimate cause to debate whether Trump was trying to maintain power when he didn't have a right to. That's what's coming out. So even if you're fantastic at running the country, I don't want you coming in trying to upset democracy or a peaceful transition of power. And right
so
now, that's what's being debated.
you refer to as a democracy again. We're not a democracy.
Okay,
People use
whatever
that.
you want to refer. Okay, how about
Right.
this? Upsetting tradition. How's that?
I mean, that's fine. That'd be perfect. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
you know what
All
I
right.
mean. But if we want to call it
Okay.
what it is, we're a constitutional republic. That's what it is.
All right. Okay.
You
Okay.
know,
We can correct the term, but I'm just simply saying what happened on January 6th.
was
You
bad.
can debate. You can debate what took place on January 6th is not Trump's fault, or some folks are saying that it would not have happened without Trump inviting them there and telling them that the election was his and he had it, and that Biden was somehow illegitimate. So we can argue that from both sides. But what I'm saying, what happened on January 6th was clearly an attempt to upset tradition. And most of the folks that were arrested or pled guilty or interviewed stated that that's what they were there to do, was to help Trump regain his office and correct the election. So clearly it was an attempt to
I would
upstage
I
tradition.
would I would agree with you to a point. I think, this is my opinion, but I think that those people that said what they said or agreed to say or took that and pled guilty was to get out of jail. They were in there
Well,
without due process.
I,
You know, they're
either I'm going to believe MAGA or I'm not. I mean, if they all of a sudden get arrested, now they become liars. Either MAGA is truthful or they're not.
right. But if you're held behind bars without due process and you're on the way out on probation or a year time served or whatever that is, you're going to say, yeah, of course he told me. I mean,
So you're willing to sell out your country that you were coming all the way to DC to defend just so you can get out of jail a few days earlier?
if there was no trial, that's what I'm saying. That's another debate. There was no due process. You know what I mean? There's no due
Okay.
process
I
with
get
those
I get
gentlemen.
what you're saying. You're suggesting that they all said that under duress because they were not getting due process.
I
Once
think
again, I say that
some
is
of
the
them. I don't know about all of them, but my opinion, an opinion I would say of most. That's how even not just in Washington, in society they do that.
yeah. I agree
They
with that.
come with a plea
That is
bargain
true.
for murderers, that didn't commit a crime, and instead of doing life in prison, you do 5 months, 2 years already served, and you do 10 years parole or 2 years. They plead guilty under duress,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
I mean that's in
Well, I
society.
can't.
Period.
Right, and I can't argue that. I mean, there are people who are serving time, and that's just a flaw in our system. There are people who are serving time that pled guilty just to avoid the potential of going to jail for a much longer time, even though they're 100% innocent. So, and you hear people all the time say, "Well, if they didn't commit the crime, why did they plead guilty?" And yeah, you can't afford a lawyer, and you got a public defender urging you to plead out. People do it all the time, so I can't argue with that, but at the same time, I don't know if I would say that all of them who said that they did it to upset the election. I don't know if they're all lying either. So I don't know where to go with it, but I'm just going to simply say it. To me, it looks like it was an attempt to upset tradition. But look, I got
Of
to
course.
move it on. I got somebody else in the box. I'll give you the last word, though.
Okay, I just want to tell people, listen, man, it's not about left or right. It's about being an American, and it's not about the hatred that I see coming through the post here and people talking. That's the problem with this country. People are divided, and if you don't think that that's what they want right now, and if you can't just walk outside, and I say this lightly, every one of us are getting screwed just the same. If you can't walk outside and look around and say, man, we are in a very, very dark place due to this administration. I'm not talking versus the last administration. I'm talking about right now. It ain't about who's in power. It's about what is going on. And I think people need to just wake up, stop. Even the Democrats know that we're in a bad place right now. And I
Fair enough.
just, I hope that people will wake up and help us all unite and fix the problem.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming through, man. Anytime, you're welcome back. And good luck in 2024. Hopefully, we talk a few times before then. Always welcome
Definitely.
back. All right,
All
man.
right.
You take care. All right. And by the way, I do agree with what a lot of what he said. We need to come together. It's not about left versus right. But I guess the counterpoint I would make is you cannot have a commander in chief in there talking about liberal cities. And he was making it left versus right, red states, blue states. He was certainly talking about that constantly, whether it was a crime rate and things like that. So if you really want us to come together as a country, it's got to start at the top, folks. It's really got to start at the top. And I don't care how much you think, whether you think Trump was running the country great economically, and even I think that the economy under Trump was much better than Biden. But there is no denying that Trump was a very divisive figure. I've got MAGA folks on here arguing with me how you should ignore the divisive comments. So nobody's denying that he was doing it. So if you want us to come together, and this is directly to my MAGA folks. If you want us to come together as a country, you want him to get reelected and not have problems from day one, you need to stop promoting that stuff. Not to stop entertaining it, laughing at it, repeating it. Because make no mistake about it, that is a large portion of the reason why he is no longer in power. Nobody's complaining, even on the liberal side, nobody's complaining about a good economy, cheap gas. Even on the liberal side, nobody was complaining about that. If you ask the liberals why they did not reelect Trump, it's going to mostly be because of what he was tweeting and what he was saying, not how he was running the country. So when he's up there saying this stuff and you're laughing at it and you're putting it on t-shirts and things like that, understand that you're making his job harder. You're allowing him and egging him on to make his own administration harder, which is also why a lot of Republicans do not work with him very well. All of this stuff you're cheering on. I'm sure I sound stupid as hell to a lot of my MAGA folks, but listen, folks, I do appreciate you guys coming through. 7 p.m. Central. I am going to be on here tomorrow around lunchtime, around 1 p.m. Central. Always free speech. There's several folks in the box, but I do got another appointment where I'm supposed to be, so I do apologize for that. I will certainly get to you guys tomorrow. Once again, it's been nothing but love. 14,000 likes. I can't argue with that. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.